Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. It's that time of the month again. We are going to do a BT token guide, and this is going to be for the month of October 2022. So for those of you that are new to this video, essentially what I do is I put out some recommendations for people that have 50 BT tokens. They might have tokens expiring, they may need to spend them. So talking about which characters around this time are the most relevant, which are the best BTs to pick up. In this video, I'm going to talk about some already released characters, and then I'm going to mainly focus on the characters coming out during October, in case there's something coming out this month that you want to pick up. Once again, with these tokens, sometimes just picking up a character you don't have is fine, even if you're going to get them later down the road. It just depends on like what your roster looks like and things like that, right? The other disclaimer is if you don't have a character at all, you don't want to pick up their BT unless you can get the rest of their kit somehow, right? A character BT only is not really going to be viable. So as I recommend some of these older characters that maybe don't have banners up, you're only going to want to pick them up provided you have at least like their LD. Some of the rest of the lower weapons can be picked up with tokens pretty easily, but the LD is the big one that you're going to want to have before we go into it, right? So let's go ahead and hop in. I've kind of set up some teams here where I can talk about some characters. So first I'm going to talk about some very strong characters that were very recently released in the game. And these, once again, could be options for you if you happen to have their LD, maybe just didn't build them out yet and you want to get them. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here as recommendations would be Luna Freya, Machina, and Charlotta. Luna Freya and Charlotta are very good support option pickups. They're very good, ridiculous characters. In terms of the BT effect, I would say Charlotta's is actually better than Luna Freya's. Luna Freya's BT isn't nearly as important to her kit as, say, the BT would be for, say, like Machina or Charlotta. So it just depends on what you want to do. Machina, you have to have his BT for him to operate at his best. So the BT is, like, very important for him. So if you want a very good offensive powerhouse character, you might want to invest in Machina if you already have other pieces of his kit. Now, there's another character here I'm going to talk about, which is kind of like a new version of Machina, which that's probably the character you're going to more likely want to go for because their banner is going to be up, right? But none of these would be bad choices if you're missing them, right? Then we have some other just powerhouses in the meta right now, and that would be Cam, Tidus, and Terra. These characters you'll see in a lot of clears for Shinryu because they do a lot of things just to make the game easier. Cam, obviously, there's an exploit that's very early on in the game that they didn't correct. They decided to keep it in. And basically that if you use launching while his BT effect is up or the enemies are paralyzed, you have ice damage and you're launching and all characters are hitting, you get insane 80% buffs per hit or per like turn, basically, to get you up to ridiculously high force levels. Now, Cam does need a little setup around him. You need to make sure you have pieces to set up that thing, and you want to have like most of Cam's kit going into this because you can't summon for his stuff, right? So once again, if you happen to have Cam LD and maybe some of those other pieces, and then you want to go in and get the BT, he could be a good pickup, right? Tidus and Terra, I would say, are just very good, solid, self-sufficient options. They don't need any setup for their FRs to work really well, and their BTs can just help them be a little bit better. Tidus in particular, I would say his BT is very good because it allows him to get double follow-ups, which is going to like significantly increase the damage. Terra's BT isn't nearly as important to her kit. Like Terra can operate just fine without it. So that would only be if you just want to make your Terra stronger, if you really like Terra or whatever. Cam's BT makes it so that he keeps the enemies paralyzed very easily. So you don't have to have Cam's BT to do the combo, but it's a lot easier to do if you do have the BT, right? Okay, so that's pretty much like older units that like their banners aren't going to be up this month. So you would have to already have some pieces for them or have the very rare LD token that you're willing to buy from the shop to like go and grab one of their LDs. But all their other old stuff, provided you got some EX tokens laying around, you might be able to pick up those other parts of their kits, right? All right, so now for characters returning or coming out, these are going to be characters whose banners should be out this month. Now, I am recording this before the community stream, so there could be a surprise in there that maybe there's a global first or something that could throw off the schedule. Some characters can be moved around, right? These three in particular, there's really no guarantee as to when or if they will come out, but in JP, I believe they had a special campaign banner that had Arden, Sephiroth, and Garland. And then Arden and Garland got C90s and Sephiroth was just returning. I think this was a triple BT banner. I could be wrong. But These characters should be around sometime this month, but once again, no guarantees on that. These characters are all fine characters. I don't think any of these would be my top BT pick this month. Sephiroth in particular has a very interesting BT effect that is, and you can abuse it with Ida, right? But basically, while his BT effect is up, enemies Brave will always get reset to 1 after every turn. So they could have a bajillion Brave, it'll go down to 1. They could be broken, they'll get reset to 1. So it's like a great way to unbreak and enable a lot of breaking. Sephiroth does work very good with some FRs that require you to break to push up the FR gauge. So that BT effect can be very useful for that, right? Garland is basically like a delay character. So if you just like a delay character, Garland, I don't think is like game breaking. He's not like a super meta defining unit like the other units I'm going to talk about here. But if you like Garland, you know, he's a fine pickup. Like the one thing I'll say is like what I'm learning the more and more I play this game, every character, if you full invest them, like they are going to be like somewhat impressive. Obviously you want to focus on investing on the more meta relevant characters, but if you have fan favorites, like you can put into these units and you will absolutely have fun with them and love them, right? Like an example I would say is like Sabin is not like super meta relevant and not hyped, but I love him and I like darn near full invested him and I enjoy him and I can put out good numbers with him, right? So if that's you, if that's Garland or even like Arden for you, because Arden also wouldn't be like my top choice. Arden's like unique in that like he can basically put up an aura or like a buff that makes it so he can't die, which is kind of cool, kind of fun, right? And then he kind of operates like Noctis a little bit, where he kind of does like the warp strike follow-up things and can do a lot of like additional attacks and things like that. Arden, I would say only grab him though if he's like a fan favorite of yours. He wouldn't be my top choice this month either, okay? Now, this is going to be kind of like some of the highlighted characters here. Or actually, you know what? There's one I forgot. Hold on. I'll call that at the end. But yeah, I can't believe I forgot to put them on here. Okay, so we've got 3 here, and then I got a quick add on 2 more onto the next slide here. But we got Tifa, Bartz, and Shantoto. Shantoto is another character I would say only if she's a fan favorite. She's like basically imperils all elements, which is kind of unique, but like that's not nearly as useful as it used to be because every character with an element these days have their own way of imperiling and usually even enchanting. So that's not like the biggest deal. Shantoto's LD gives her the ability to like throw on paralyzes on demand, which is kind of cool. But her BT effect is nothing to write home about, so definitely not a must-have. I would say Shantoto's probably one of the lower end characters, unfortunately, this month. Bartz could be an okay pickup. I'm a big fan of Bartz, as you can see by my green-blue Bartz right here. So basically, mine's going to turn C90 and then just be like awesome, right? Bartz is a very good support character, and he's very unique in that he's like one of the few wind enchant characters in the game. And what's unique about Bartz is he wind enchants imperils via aura. So it's not an actual debuff on the enemy. So the enemies, even if they resist imperiling, they still get imperiled to wind, which is very good. Now, elemental lockouts will be a thing. So if wind gets locked out, Bartz is going to be kind of out of luck. His BT, I would say if you're going to get Bartz, you do want his BT because it makes his support a lot better. That being said, if you just grab Luna Freya, like she's still going to be a million times better than Bartz even after this upgrade. So if you're going for support, Luna Freya or even Shantoto are still very fine pickups. But I do still really like Bartz, but he wouldn't be my top choice just because he has been surpassed by other supports. The other thing is having too many supports is never a bad thing, right? So that's something we can think about there. Then we have Tifa. Tifa is going to be one of the top picks this month, and she should be the first BT in October. Now, I'll tell you this right now. I personally have 50 tokens. If I do not pick up Tifa's BT while going for FR, I am going to token Tifa. So, personally, I am going to be grabbing Tifa. Her BT does give her, basically, she gets like double follow-up attacks after she does an action. So, it's going to make her a lot more powerful. And she is just an incredibly powerful, very much a single target character, but she hits really, really hard. She's non-elemental, so she can be enchanted. So basically, Tifa is just like a ridiculous offensive powerhouse, single target character. So if that's something you want, and you want to get like double follow-ups from her with her BT effect, she could have like a really nasty burst phase with all those follow-ups coming up. Not to mention you combo with another follow-up character, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage, right? All right, so the last slide, which I have not actually like prepared yet. So let me go ahead and I just got to grab a couple characters here. So I need to go FF8. We're going to do that. And then we're going to go to FF5. Got to grab somebody from FF5. Okay. All right, and I think these are the last two I need to talk about. So then we have Renoa, and then Golbez, I believe, shows up at some point for his C90. Golbez is once again just a hard no. He's a Dark Enchant Imperiler. He has to be doing weakness damage to be very powerful. That's kind of what his kit is built around. His BT effect isn't anything crazy, so I really wouldn't worry about Golbez unless he's a favorite. Now, Renoa is actually going to be another top choice this month. So before, I had mentioned Machina. Renoa is actually like a new souped up Machina in that the way Renoa operates, if you're not familiar with her, she basically has like an Angelo stance and then like an Angel Wing stance. And the Angelo stance is like a healing stance. The Angel Wing stance is like a more offensive stance. But when she goes into Angel Wing, she actually like depletes her own HP to attack. But she gets very powerful HP plus attacks that she can use. Well, what happens with their upgrades is obviously like everything just goes up in terms of damage. But with Machina, like Machina's BT effect gives him a ridiculously powerful HP plus, and that's why his BT is so important to his kit. Well, Renoa gets the same thing, where her BT effect basically really upgrades her HP plus attacks. I believe she just gets Ultima. And Ultima, so basically she gets these uber powerful HP plus attacks from her BT, and it's essentially like Machina, but she's more AoE centric and she's magic damage. So she's like a magic damage AoE version of Machina, and she gets ridiculously powerful. So Renoa, I would say, is also another good pick. So the thing is this month, you're actually looking at a couple of offensive powerhouses. So I would say my two picks for like new characters this month, I would say you want to go Renoa or Tifa. They're going to be your big offensive powerhouse characters. Very, very good, very, very fun characters. Otherwise, once again, I think Bart's can be a decent, like, nice little support pickup. Otherwise, you're going to want to look at some of these, like, top-tier meta characters that have already been released. So, like, Tidus, Terra, Cam, like, any of these could be fine. Luna Freya or Charlotta, like, I do, like, highly value supports. So you may want to pick up one of those if you've got the other pieces of their kit to make them work for their BT effects. So anyways, guys, in short, once again, I'm just going to say Renoa and Tifa are my two picks this month. You can let me know what you think if you're going to use tokens this month. I am personally going for Tifa. I also am going to get Renoa's BT, but I'm just going to flat out pity it. Now, here's the thing. If I get really lucky and get Tifa's BT while going for a force, then yeah, I'm using my tokens on Renoa. So it's going towards one of those two characters. So anyways, guys, let me know what you're going to use your tokens on. If you have a question about a character I did not talk about this video, please let me know in the comments. I also have a Discord. You can hit me up in there. My Discord is posted in the description of all my videos. So I hope this guide helps you all out. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one.